and unfortunately, I think we all need those wake-up calls. You know, a lot of times we don't make a decision to change until we've had something really bad happen to us to wake up. And that's my message to to the people that I speak to on a daily basis is don't wait until it's too late, because we need to be taking precautionary measures beforehand. And our food system is very corrupt, and there's a lot of very dangerous ingredients in the foods that people are eating, and they don't even know that it's there.
All right, guys, we are back on the Digital Social Hour. I got a fellow Sean here with me today, Sean Christopher.
Honored to be here, brother. Thank you, man. This is so exciting.
Absolutely. Quite the health journey you've had, man.
It's been wild, man. It's been wild, and it's made me super passionate about helping people because of the journey I've been on. So I don't want to waste my pain, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You know? You lost 90 pounds, right?
Yeah. Lost 90 pounds, and I had a lot going on at the same time. I had a heart issue. I had a brain issue. And I was overweight, and I kind of had to tackle it all at the same time because I just reached a point where I said enough is enough. I think we get what we tolerate, and I decided I wasn't going to tolerate having an unhealthy heart, an unhealthy brain, and being overweight. So I fixed it.
Was being overweight what caused the heart issue?
A big part of it, yeah. I had something called atrial fibrillation, which is the top part of my heart was beating faster than the bottom.
Wow.
And something interesting for those watching, but I was very healthy, and so that was actually what the cardiologists believe was a hereditary thing that kind of popped up. But so I did not know that I had it, and I think that this is probably one of the #1 reasons why I encourage everyone to prioritize their health every day, because you just never know what my underlying issue may be going on. Now, if you are doing the right things on a daily basis, eating the right foods, moving your body, exercising, you know, you're in good company. But for me, it was just a matter of making that decision. And when I coach people, people ask me, how did you do that? I made a decision. A decision is the most powerful thing we can ever do, but you have to make a firm, resolute decision. Tony Robbins calls it burning the boats, where you're making this decision. There's no failure is not an option. Quitting is not an option. You continue to relentlessly pursue your goals until you reach it, and that's what I did.
I love it.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to lose that weight?
Believe it or not, only 4 months.
What?
Yeah.
That's like 23 pounds a month?
Yeah. So keto is, I'm a huge fan of a ketogenic diet. I don't promote it necessarily as a lifestyle change because there's nothing wrong with eating carbs. You know, people that demonize carbs, I think it's foolish, really.
Yeah.
There's a lot of healthy carbs. Here's the thing. There's bad carbs and there's good carbs, right? There's bad protein and there's good protein. And so when it comes to following a ketogenic diet, keto basically taps into stored fat stores in the body. And that's why it works so fast, because your body has been using glucose for energy for God knows how many years of your life. And now all of a sudden you're saying, no, body, I don't want you to use glucose for energy anymore. I want you to use fat for energy. And the body goes into ketosis when you lower the amount of carbs you're eating and you focus on eating protein and fat. Most people that follow keto, in my opinion, eat way too much fat. And that's something we can talk about a little bit later. But my routine, and I'll tell everyone my exact routine that I use to lose 90 pounds in 4 months. Got up every morning and did 30 minutes of what's called fasted cardio. When you exercise in the morning on an empty stomach, your body has nothing to use for energy when you're in ketosis other than stored fat. So by doing fasted cardio in the morning, I'm literally just incinerating fat in my body, right?
Yeah.
What my eating plan looked like, Sean, was I would eat no more than 3 meals a day. I typically would intermittent fast, so I wouldn't eat breakfast. I'd have my first meal somewhere around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And those meals consisted of about 6 ounces of some type of quality protein source, so chicken, fish, beef, whatever. I would have probably a good-sized serving of some type of low-glycemic veggie. So low-glycemic veggies are broccoli, cabbage, zucchini, stuff like that, asparagus. And then I would have a dark leafy green salad. And so the protein, and I would stick to cuts of protein that had a little bit of a fattier content to them, because that helps keep you in ketosis. So the protein with the fat, the veggies and the dark leafy greens, that's how I ate every day. And that was how I lost 90 pounds in 4 months.
Wow. That's very impressive. That's literally almost a pound a day.
Yeah, so and that's what I actually started a program where I tell people you literally can lose a pound a day. Now, here's something interesting to know. I know a lot of people are probably listening to think, we have this odd misconception that losing weight too fast is unhealthy.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I'm 50 years old, Sean. I'm healthier than I've ever been in my entire life at the age of 50. Wow. But that came from choosing to move my body every day, choosing to eat the right foods. And you and I were talking earlier, and I told you about my brain scan at the Amen Clinic.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that, but I severely damaged my brain by drinking alcohol over the years. And when they scanned my brain, we saw what damage the alcohol did to the brain, but what Dr. Storage, who is Dr. Amon's doctor that worked directly with me at the clinic, said to me is that this could have been a lot worse. I can tell that you exercise and eat healthy because your brain should have looked a lot worse. Because Dr. Amon showed a brain scan of a guy who had been drinking for 20 years. Yeah. And when I saw that, Sean, I thought, oh, like, because his brain had holes throughout the whole brain. The brain had holes in it. The brain had shrunk in size. So literally the alcohol had shrunk the brain and put holes in the brain. And so when I saw that scan and realized that I had been drinking longer than this guy had been drinking, it was a big wake-up call for me. And unfortunately, I think we all need those wake-up calls. You know, a lot of times we don't make a decision to change until we've had something really bad happen to us to wake up. And that's my message to to the people that I speak to on a daily basis is don't wait until it's too late, because we need to be taking precautionary measures beforehand. And our food system is very corrupt, and there's a lot of very dangerous ingredients in the foods that people are eating, and they don't even know that it's there. And that's one of my messages is helping people to understand what's in the foods that they're maybe eating now that are damaging them and damaging their kids too. Yeah. Right? That's a really big thing, because so many parents give their kids foods that they don't know there's very dangerous ingredients in those foods. And my God, you know, I'll see that and I just like, my heart breaks because I know they don't know. Right. But that's why I do what I do. Right.
Yeah. You saw they just found heavy metals in Lunchables?
Dude, not only that, but guess what else is? There's an ingredient in Lunchables, parents that are listening right now, called TBHQ. TBHQ is a very dangerous chemical that is in Lunchables as well as many other products that are out there on the market. And it's derived from petroleum. That's where TBHQ comes from. It's derived from petroleum. So you're literally eating gas, right?
Holy crap.
But it's extremely dangerous to the human body. And the other thing, Sean, that I want people to know that are watching this is, I mean, I could sit here for hours with you and give you a long list of foods that are very dangerous, but guys, we have to stay away from processed foods. We have to stay away. If it's in a box, bag, or a can, it's not good for you. There's some exceptions to that, but there's not many. Yeah. Most of what's in a box, bag, or a can is very dangerous for you, loaded with chemicals. Cheerios, Oreos, Goldfish crackers, Quaker oatmeal. I mean, you would not believe the list of foods that have dangerous chemicals in it, and it's crazy.
Nuts. I grew up eating canned food every day.
Brother, same. You know, but here's the beauty of this. For those listening that think, oh, I've been eating this stuff for most of my life, the human body is an amazing, amazing machine. And we have about 7 billion cells in our body. Well, every 90 days, our body literally regenerates all 7 billion cells in the body. So you literally physically become what you eat. Isn't that crazy? You literally physically become what you eat. So if you have become something you don't want, or you're starting to have health issues or whatever it is, maybe you're having anxiety and depression, you don't feel good, just change it. And within a few months, you will feel like a completely different person. But we all want the quick fix, right? We want to take the pill.
90 is pretty quick, 90 days.
Well, brother, I agree. I mean, and when I tell people that I lost that amount of weight in 90 days, almost everyone tells me I could never do that. You can. Anyone can do it. And I teach people how to do it I mean, this is what I do. I teach people how to do this every single day.
Love it.
And my clients have amazing success by doing it, you know?
I saw you make a video about microwave popcorn, which is one of my it's one of my favorite childhood memories. So why is that bad for people?
So, well, for a couple reasons. One, it has a couple different chemicals in it that are very dangerous. But the worst thing about microwave popcorn is the lining of the bags have a plastic lining in them. And that is something called a PFAS, which is a forever chemical. It means it never goes away. So the chemical, if it gets into your body, it never goes away. It also gets into the atmosphere and it gets into your lungs. So when you're at home and you make a bag of microwave popcorn, that forever chemical is literally spreading throughout your house as you're eating
Wow.
it. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that's why I tell people stay away from microwave popcorn. And Sean, everyone always says to me, oh, well, I've done this my whole life. What can I do? Well, there's always a solution. Here's the thing. Typically, the solution to the problem is something that takes a little bit more time, right? And that's what we don't want. We want convenience. That's why Americans are obsessed with fast food, which is, I don't even know if I want to talk about that because I could go off forever on fast food. Chick-fil-A's chicken. I was telling Bridger, your guy the other day, that Chick-fil-A's chicken sandwich has, I forget the exact number, but it's somewhere between 50 to 100 ingredients in one Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. Guys, real food does not have 50 to 100 ingredients, and real food should have 2 or 3 ingredients in it at the most, right? Yeah. So like if I go to the store and I look at most of the bags of potato chips on the shelf, they're gonna have like 20 different ingredients in them. Yeah. The ones that are not detrimental to your health, they're fried, so you could argue that it's bad for you, period, because it causes inflammation in the body. But there are chips out there that literally, if you look at the bag, it has 3 ingredients in it: potatoes, salt, and whatever. So we just have to get used to reading labels. Every person that comes to me for coaching, the very first thing I tell them is, here's your #1 task. I want you to commit to becoming an expert label reader, because if we learn to read labels, you don't need to be an expert like me to know all the names of the different chemicals that are in the foods. It's all you have to know is if you look at the ingredients on a food and it has some funky names in it that you can't pronounce, don't eat it.
Yeah.
Period. That's it.
I have this app called Yuka. Have you heard of it?
Oh, I love Yuka. Yeah. Think Dirty is another good one too. Yuka, Yuka is Yuka. That's excellent. Think Dirty is another one. But yeah, you can go through the store and you can scan. I encourage people to do that. Go through the store. What I will just randomly, you're going to laugh. This is what I do for fun. No. I go to the store with that app and I just walk around and I scan different foods because I want to know. I want to know. I want to make sure that my kids aren't eating that stuff. I want to make sure that other people's kids aren't eating it. Cheerios are one of the worst foods that kids could possibly put in their bodies because it has a very dangerously high level of weed killer in it.
Wow.
Believe it or not.
That's crazy. And they teach you it's healthy for your heart.
And right. Well, again, look at the marketing, right? So you look at a box of Cheerios and it says heart healthy. Most of us take things for face value. We do not actually take the time to research what's really in something.
Right.
And so if you look at that, most people are going to say, oh, if they say it's heart healthy, it must be. Little do they know it's actually slowly killing them. And listen, if you go out and eat a box of Cheerios, are you going to die tomorrow? No, of course not. That's silly. However, over time, it builds up. And if you keep eating it consistently, and I know that kids eat Cheerios. You know, I'll be walking through a store and I'll see a mom strolling her kid and I'll see Cheerios in the stroller and it just, everything in me just cringes because I want to tell them, please don't give that to
Do you ever
kids.
stop a parent in the grocery store?
I do. I do it, you know, I do it I'm never going to be that guy that is going to go up to you and say, hey, you should never do this again. Because that's silly. No one's going to probably quit cold turkey something.
Yeah.
Just cut back on it. You know, try to do it less. And that's why I tell people, the people that will often say to me, man, I just can't eat anything. No, you can eat real food. The problem is, what's real food? Meat, seafood, veggies, and fruit, you know? And we could talk about the quality of all those. That's a deeper conversation. But I always tell people, if you want to change your life, start by just eating real food. That is my #1 message. Eat real freaking food. Because if you eat real food, your body's going to be 1,000 times healthier. But if you're constantly putting stuff in your body that's in a box bag or a can, you're going to have health issues.
Yeah.
It's impossible not to.
For sure.
There's repercussions for our actions. And when we don't research that, we're going to see those.
The meat industry is quite confusing to me because there's so many labels. And now I'm finding out even if it says grass-fed, they do all sorts of other things to it. So it's not even entirely healthy.
That is correct, Sean. Yeah. So really look for stuff that says grass-fed and grass-finished, because if it's not grass-finished, so grass-fed meat has a much higher nutrient profile to it than regular meat. Regular store-bought meat, this is another thing I'm super passionate about, so thank you for asking me that question. Guys, eat local, eat local, eat local, eat local. We are so programmed to go to freaking Walmart and Target all the time. Stop giving your money to these stores that are literally feeding you foods that are slowly killing you. Eat local, support your local farmers. Your local farmers are ethically and organic the local farmers that are selling organic food, they actually put the time and effort into really making sure that food is good quality because they actually care about it. These big giant manufacturers, they don't give a about anyone's health, right? So I tell people, eat local, shop local, eat local, because that's where you're going to get your quality food from. So go to your local farmers market. Find the local farmers in your area that have beef and have chicken and pork and veggies, and buy from them. And because that's the quality food. If you're buying from the big box stores, you're getting very, very, very low quality food. And the other thing, Sean, is that with the meat, this is an interesting thing that it'll floor you, is the USDA did a study a few years ago. 70% of store-bought meat had extremely high levels of feces in it.
Oh my gosh. That's disgusting.
Can you believe that, man? It's disgusting.
Holy crap.
So you're literally eating right? You're literally eating and it's a big deal. And it's not just that, it's so many other things. So most of the meat that you buy in a store, they're literally can be up to 1,000 cows in that one burger that you're eating. Yeah. There could be up to 1,000 from all over the world. Not even cows that are raised in the United States. You're getting stuff from China, from Russia, from all these other countries. They're literally taking and they're combining it all together. And it's disgusting. And most of the meat is diseased. It is diseased.
Wow.
And so, and Sean, honestly, Americans are more overweight than we've ever been, but it's not just because we're not eating the right foods. It's the ingredients that are in the foods, right? I can actually eat a loaf of bread that I buy at a grocery store here in the United States, and that is going to severely spike my blood sugar levels in my body. It's very dangerous for my body. That exact same bread in another country, most of the foods we have here in the United States are literally banned in about 80 countries. So Cheerios, Doritos, Oreos, those foods are banned, Sean, in 80 different countries.
Wow.
Because they will not allow the ingredients in the food that we are allowing. Incidentally, speaking of what I was mentioning earlier about the Cheerios and the weed killer in the Cheerios, the scientific name for that is glyphosate, and it's in a lot of stuff. And for those that want to dig deeper into this, there's an amazing group of scientists that I have studied extensively over the years called Environmental Working Group. Website is ewg.org, and you can find all the studies on their website that they have done for all this stuff. So you'll find the studies on Cheerios and Oreos and all this stuff and everything. And it's important. It's important for us to know, and it's important for us to know so that we can make better decisions for our kids too,
Absolutely.
Right?
Dude, I used to love going to Costco as a kid.
Of course.
But now when I go, all their bread's enriched, so I can't buy any pastries there or bread. All their cakes enriched. All the food scores low on Yucca, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like I could barely buy anything on Costco now.
You're 100% right, brother. I frankly, I buy very little at a grocery store, period, nowadays, just because I know the quality is really bad. You know, I really try to shop local. And guys, I understand that a lot of people are going to say, gosh, Sean, that sounds great, but man, I don't know if I can afford that. And I get that, but just eat less. So just eat less of it. We eat too much food anyways, for God's sake. But I mean, just eat less of it. And here's another thing. So, you know, a lot of my clients say this to me, like, man, Sean, it's perspective, right? And it's also priorities. So if you're prioritizing the food that you put in your body, you're going to make better decisions. You're not going to just so quickly jump at saying, oh, let's have this, or let's have, you're going to actually put some thought into it, right? So what I have found, you know, I always say to people, if you go to the grocery store and buy a package of chicken and a bag of broccoli, I'm sorry, but that's not expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I can buy a whole package of chicken at Kroger for $15, and that's going to feed me. That's going to have like 7 or 8 chicken breasts in it. It's going to feed me for a good part of the week. I can buy a bag, you know, you mentioned Costco. I can buy a bag of organic broccoli at Costco for $6.99. I think it's a 5-pound bag for $6.99. So it's a good deal.
Wow.
Right? So it's not too expensive to eat healthy. You've just convinced people have convinced themselves that it's too expensive to eat healthy. And we could have a whole nother conversation about the power of our minds, because when you convince yourself of something, it does become true in your life. Because your brain literally grows a new neural pathway. When we think a new thought, our brain starts to grow new neural pathways. So we convince ourselves of something, and then our brain actually physically changes. And now we're stuck in a thought pattern that we've actually convinced ourselves to be true that isn't really true, but we've just told ourselves it's true.
Yep.
It's crazy, right?
Deep. You made a video about high fructose corn syrup.
Oh, dude. So another one. So I've always argued that the most dangerous ingredient on the planet is sugar, because it is one of the most dangerous ingredients on the planet, because glucose feeds cancer cells in the body. And that's my biggest reason for being against sugar, is because I have seen far too many people die by excessive sugar consumption. I had a client die.
Wow.
I had a client die. She came to me initially because I was coaching her to lose weight. And I coached her for about 6 months on the weight loss, and I'll never forget the day she called me, and she was literally in tears, and she said, I just was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Wow.
And I said, oh God. So I told her exactly what to do. And I told her cut out all sugar, cut out any simple carbohydrates. There's a ton of science that shows the power of a ketogenic diet to fight cancer. So I was friends with her on Facebook, right? So I could see her posts. And after she got the cancer diagnosis, I noticed that she was posting how she was eating cake and eating ice cream. And I went, oh God, no, please no. So I reached out to her and I said, hey, just try to cut back, because it's the worst possible thing you can put in your body. And I don't know if she did or she didn't. It doesn't really matter. But I found out that she passed away a few months after that.
It's terrible.
And it just broke my heart, because it was preventable.
Yeah.
And most sicknesses and diseases are preventable. That's the thing. But again, this goes to that whole perception thing and the belief that you choose to believe. or what you choose to become your belief system, but everything is actually preventable. And we feel, and what breaks my heart is when people get a diagnosis. Listen, at the end of the day, you got your diagnosis because you probably weren't moving your body enough and eating the right food. Because I am convinced, Sean, that exercise and healthy eating is the key to everything in our lives. But a lot of people don't practice that, and so they get a diagnosis, right? And they think their diagnosis is a death sentence. And I get that because a lot of people do die from these diseases. But we have in nature everything we need to prevent and every sickness and disease that exists on the planet. And that is something that I preach excessively because I want people to know that I don't care what. So a lot of times, I'll be doing a Facebook Live or something for my audience, and I'll be talking about something. And one of the things that I often get asked the most is people will say to me, hey, I have PCOS, or I have perimenopause, or I have prediabetes, or they'll list off, because I have 1 million followers on social media, so I'll have people list off just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reasons of what different health issues they have. And what I tell them, and people don't understand this, and I think it almost sounds too simple, but I'll tell them just eat real food. Like we said earlier, just eat real food. Because they'll ask me, what do I do? What do I do for this? What do I do for this? What do I do? Eat real food. Just eat real food. The quality does matter, yes. But if I can just get you, if you're eating a diet that you know is not healthy for you, if I can just get you eating real food, that's a start, right? Just focus on eating real food. Meat, seafood, veggies, fruit. And once you get in the habit of doing that, then let's talk about quality. And then let's talk about honing in on the quality of the meat and the quality of the fish and the quality of the veggies, and so we get really good quality in our body. But just that one simple change in and of itself, just eating real food, that would change so many people's lives if they would just focus on eating real food.
Yeah, some people believe food is medicine.
100% food is medicine. Michael Pollan said that in his book, Food is Medicine. And and I think was it Aristotle or Socrates? Someone said that, let food be thy medicine, because it is. Food, literally, the right foods are literally the solution to every sickness and disease that we have that exists. But people don't see that. But I will keep talking as loud as I can about it because I care deeply about people, Sean. I really do. It's just kind of how God's wired me, and I just care very deeply about people. And when I see people kind of sleepwalking through life, right? And that's a big thing for me too, is I tell people, is I want people to live a life that's fully alive. And most of us are sleepwalking through our lives right now. We have accepted the place we're at in life as a place that we are at, and there is no way to better it or get around it. So I see so many people fall into health issues, financial, all these things, and they just think it's a death sentence. And I just want people to know, like, there's always a solution. There's always a better way. And if you just make a decision that you want to get better, everything will start to fall into place. But that's probably the most important thing. You have to decide that you want to get better. And if you decide that you want to get better, there are resources out there to help you get better, right?
Absolutely.
High fructose corn syrup is literally 50 times worse for you than sugar. On the glycemic index, sugar, if you look at the glycemic index, sugar spikes your blood sugar. I believe sugar is about a 50 on the glycemic index, if I remember correctly. High fructose corn syrup is a 100, so it's literally twice as deadly as sugar. So I just did a couple of videos on this not too recently, and I tell people, if you're a parent and you are not reading every label and making sure that your kids are not eating high fructose corn syrup, I beg you to please do that, because it is literally the worst ingredient that exists on the planet.
Wow.
Because if high fructose corn syrup is 100 times worse than sugar, I mean, think about that, right? We all know sugar is bad for us. So if we know that high fructose corn syrup is literally 100 times worse, we should be doing everything in our power to stay away from it. And Sean, it is in so many foods. It's in ketchup, bro.
It's in ketchup?
It's in ketchup. It's in everything. It's in the common foods that we eat every day, right? And that's the thing. And so, and it's funny because I'll do videos about this stuff all the time, and sometimes people just don't want to know this stuff. So I did the video about ketchup. Bro, I got blasted on social media for telling people ketchup was bad for them. They're like, F you don't know what you're talking about, and you're just fear-mongering. And, because I do talk a lot about what is bad for people and they shouldn't be eating, I do get some negative feedback from that. People are like, you're just fear-mongering. No, I'm literally trying to save your life. You know, people ask me, what do you do for a living? I teach people how to save their own life.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't even call myself a health coach anymore because I literally teach people how to save their own lives because most people don't know how to do that, and I want to empower people to be able to do that.
I mean, you're very logical with it. You look at the ingredients. It's not like you have a personal bias against the food.
That's correct, Sean. That's correct. I try, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at this by any means because I know I'm not, but I really try to approach stuff from a logical and scientific basis. So, like, what is the science behind it? I try to study, not that the science is always going to be right behind it, but because I've been doing this for 25 years, and listen, I pride myself on having learned from the best of the best, and a lot of those people have been on your show, John. Right. and that was actually how I connected with you years ago. Is that, you know, you had guys on there that were just, you know, Dave Asprey and Gary Brecka, and these guys' knowledge level just empowered me so much, and I'm obsessed with knowledge. So there is not a single day that goes by where I don't spend at least an hour or two on YouTube or whatever, just studying new stuff that's out there, studying the new science that's out there, learning how things are different. You know, for example, the rate in which children are getting diabetes nowadays is higher than it's ever been.
Wow.
Ever been. And it's because of the foods we're eating, because parents are not paying attention to what's going in the kid's mouth, or maybe they are paying attention, they just don't know. And more kids are getting diabetes than it's higher than it's ever been in history. And that's a really big deal. You know, that's a really big deal. And so sugar, we eat sugar because it makes us feel good. It raises dopamine in the body, in the brain. And so that's why we eat sugar. But there's other ways to get that happiness level. And so you eat sugar, you get this huge rush of dopamine, and then you just want to eat more of it. But what people don't realize is there's a major crash after. But again, same thing goes for the high fructose corn syrup, because that's actually 100 times worse.
Crazy. Yeah. Do you think people that have this intense sugar craving have parasites?
Oh, bro, 100,000%. Yes. So 90% of women over the age of 40 years old, and I will be honest, I don't completely know why this is specific to women, but the man's body and women's body are obviously, you know, different. But 90% of women over the age of 40 have something called an intestinal yeast overgrowth in their gut, and it's parasites in the gut, and it significantly hampers weight loss. So I have a program that teaches people how to get those parasites out of their gut, you know, how to cleanse their body and get those out. And every person that goes through my program that does that, the weight just melts off their body after they go through my program.
Wow.
And it's because they had that intestinal yeast overgrowth. They didn't know it, because it's not just about eating the right foods. It's about what's in the foods that we're eating. So when people are eating foods that are fueling that intestinal yeast overgrowth, it's mostly sugar, Sean. It's mostly sugar, but it's also processed food. And fried foods are also, I would say that processed food, anything with sugar in it, and fried foods, and anything with high fructose corn syrup is literally the worst thing we can possibly put in our body. And so that plays a big role in it.
So there's ways to get rid of these parasites?
Oh gosh, yes. And again, it's real food. It's eating real food. For example, garlic and cinnamon are two things that get rid of the parasites. There you go. There's a lot of other things that people can do too, but garlic and cinnamon, they will kill the parasites.
Wow.
In the gut.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Because I got some garlic pills at home.
Do you? Yeah. And well, okay. So I'm glad you said that. Don't take the pill. Take the real thing.
Oh yeah.
Because the real thing is 100 times better than the pill. The pill, if you think about it, the pill, it has been processed. It's probably been chemically processed, to be quite honest with you.
Right.
And so, but we do live in a culture where the first thing we go for is that pill, right? Yeah. It is ingrained in our minds to go for the pill first thing. And so all my clients say the same thing. What pill can I take? What supplement can I take? Let's talk about real food first, and then we'll talk about the supplements, because I want you to learn how to treat your body the right way by putting real food in your body. And then I get people on supplements. And there's a lot of great supplements out there. There is.
Yeah.
But always go for the real food before the supplement.
A lot of bad ones too.
A lot of Sean, did you know that 80% of supplements that are on the shelf don't have one single ingredient in them that they actually say?
Really?
80%. They did a study a few years ago, and 80% of supplements on the shelf did not have even one ingredient. It was all placebo. Now,
wow.
We could talk about mindset and how placebo works. However, I will simply say this about the supplements. You have to, again, guys, we got to be diligent. We got to stop taking stuff at face value. Stop believing the marketing that we're being programmed with.
Yeah.
Figure this out on your own, man. So knowing that most of the supplements are bad, so I won't touch a supplement unless it's been third party. It has to be independently third party tested. So if you're going on Amazon to buy supplements, do not buy a supplement that has not been independently third party tested, because that means there's no verification process that it actually has in it what they say. They can just there's no government regulations on the supplement industry. So that's why it's kind of the wild, wild west right now.
Wait, the FDA doesn't regulate it?
Nope. There's no regulations on supplements.
So I could just launch one right now?
You literally could. Yeah, you literally could. There's there's no regulations on supplements. And so because there's no regulations on supplements, there's no governing body that is maintaining that what people say are in supplements are actually in them. There's nothing.
That's crazy.
So there's no repercussions. And so because they can just get away with it, they're doing it. So I tell people never have a supplement that hasn't been third-party tested, but also research the quality as well. I research the company, right? I research the company extensively and make sure that I know that this company is putting out highly quality products, because I know that, because you're literally, if it's not, you're just peeing it out, right? And so that's what the supplement industry, I mentioned food earlier. We have a very corrupt food system, and it's changed a lot over the years. It didn't used to be like that. So I'll have people tell me, when I talk about stuff like Cheerios or Doritos or stuff like that, sometimes what I'll have people say to me, and logically they are right. They'll say, hey, I've been eating this stuff my whole life and I'm fine. That's probably the case, because guess what? Glyphosate, aka weed killer, didn't used to be in our food system. TBHQ didn't used to be in our food system. It's all being driven by greed, and we're trying to cut corners so that these major companies can make more money and drive up their bottom line. And because of that, the health of the American people are suffering. Yeah, and it's a really big deal. It's crazy. A really big deal.
You also made a video about plug-in fresheners.
Yeah, Sean, I'm glad you said that, because, not to overwhelm everyone with all this information about like, oh, I'm killing myself. But what we put on our bodies and what is in our home all gets into our bodies, right? So the plugins, you're breathing, that plug-in is plugged into a wall in your house, and you're breathing that in every single day. It's got very harmful chemicals in it. Most candles are actually very harmful as well. So... And to expound on that again, so what you put on your body too. So ladies, all these beauty products that you're using every single day got some harmful stuff in it. So you got what you said. Use that Yucca app. Use the Think Dirty app, and start seeing what's in your products and making sure that you're not putting something. But the plugins have the forever chemicals in them as well. That's another thing that the plugins have, is those PFASs, the forever chemicals. And so it doesn't ever go away. And so the more you use it, you're just compounding the negative effects it's having on the body, right? Yep. So stay away, guys. Stay away.
The one downside of Yucca, I'll say, I don't know if Dirty's like this, but Yucca doesn't account for seed oils.
Yes, you're 100% right. And seed oils are a really big deal. And that's why I'm vehemently against anything that's fried, because it's being fried in seed oils. And the inflammation that causes in the body is unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable. And you could also, speaking of inflammation in the body drives most sickness and disease in the body, because we're inflaming the body, and the body cannot heal itself properly. And fried foods are one of the worst things. Fried foods and sugar are probably arguably two of the worst things that cause inflammation in the body.
You also made a video about Alzheimer's and how it could potentially be type 3 diabetes.
It is type 3 diabetes. And this is newer science that is recently just being talked about now. But yes, Alzheimer's and dementia are type 3 diabetes. It is insulin resistance in the brain. And it's sad because it's sad because I see sugar controlling so many people. I've never struggled with it personally myself, but I have struggled with alcohol, to be honest. And we can talk about that a little bit later, talk about the brain scan that I did at the Amen Clinic. But sugar wasn't my vice. Alcohol was. We all have our own vices, right? And some of us just need to cut back a little bit on those vices. But inflammation in the brain caused by sugar does cause Alzheimer's and dementia. And so I always just, again, this goes for everything, Sean, whether it doesn't matter what sickness or disease it is. If you can discipline yourself to cut back on sugar, you are adding many quality years to your life. Yeah. Because, I mean, my grandfather had Alzheimer's, Sean. Most of what I talk about is personally important to me. My father died of a heart attack. My father could not put down alcohol, which is probably where I partially got it from. But but you know what? Let me preface that by saying you cannot blame your problems on someone else.
Right.
You cannot, you have to take ownership for this shit yourself. You can't say, oh, well, my dad did that, or my mom did that, or I had a family history. You know, I hear a lot of people say, oh, that runs in my family. It doesn't run. But you know what? Maybe it runs in your family, but it can stop with you. It can stop with you because you just have to make a decision that it stops with you.
Right.
Our brain is an amazingly powerful tool that we have. And the way that we can physically change our brain is called neuroplasticity. We can literally physically change our brains. And so I tell people, knowing that you can do that and you can make those changes, you just have to make that decision, you know, like I said. But I want people to know that they are empowered to make that decision, that no matter what they're looking at, it's not a death sentence. You know?
Were you able to reverse the brain damage from the alcoholism?
So interesting. When I did the brain scan at the Amen Clinic just a week or two ago, so my brain scan we literally just did a couple weeks ago. Yeah. So here's what happened with this alcohol journey. Dr. Amen posted on his Instagram page a picture of a gentleman who they had scanned the brain, and that individual had been drinking for about 20 years. Okay,
every day.
Yeah, they said that they had been drinking about every day. Okay. Yeah. So now that is an extreme situation, but I want people to know that just if you study the science behind alcohol, even just more than one drink is harmful to the body, okay? So it's not just the individual that's drinking every day. It can still happen to the individual that's only drinking a couple days a week, because alcohol is very dangerous to our bodies, very dangerous to our brains. But when Dr. Amen posted that picture of the guy's brain who had been drinking for 20 years, and I saw the holes in his brain, Sean, I'm not gonna lie, I looked at it and said, I gotta do something. Now, I have been obsessively studying health for 25 years now. I'm very passionate about it. But I still had my own vice, and I still had my own demons that I had to wrestle with. And alcohol was something that I struggled with over the years. And so when I had my brain scan, there was holes in my brain. And I actually sent Bridger the pictures of my brain, so if you guys want to use those. But if you look at the scans of the brain, you will see areas of red on my brain, and that's where the blood flow wasn't properly going to the brain. So what a lot of people don't realize, and for those entrepreneurs that are listening right now, if you want to make more money, you've got to change what you're eating, because we do not understand how radical the brain is impacted by the foods we're eating, the things that we're drinking, how often we're moving our body. If you're not moving your body on a regular basis, guess what? Blood flow is not going to your brain.
Wow.
Men who are listening out there that have ED issues, if you have ED issues, you got a brain issue, because guess what? You got a blood flow issue. And guys, if you have an AD issue, guess what? You are severely at risk for heart attack, because if the blood's not flowing down there, it's not flowing here. Wow. And it's not flowing here either. So here, Sean, here's the thing. Symptoms are our body screaming for help. Symptoms are our body screaming for help. If you have and a lot of men that realize they have blood flow issues typically will notice it sexually, because they're having sexual issues. And so, but if you're having sexual issues as a man, that means you have blood flow issues. And well, blood flows to the whole body, right? But what are some of the main areas it flows to that are vitally important in the heart and the brain? So that's a big deal.
Huge deal. There's a lot of guys with ED issues right now.
Oh, huge, bro, huge. And believe it or not, one of the best things to actually, I'll give you guys a freebie out there. You're gonna love me. Your wife or your girlfriend's gonna really love me tonight when you cucumbers are very high in a compound called citrulline. Citrulline is one of the #1 things that promotes blood flow in the body.
Okay.
And so cucumbers are actually miraculous for helping ED.
Wow.
Cucumbers and watermelon. Cucumbers and watermelon are the top 2 things. I know every guy that's listening to this just is running out the door right now to buy cucumbers and watermelon. Guys, you don't need the Viagra. You just need cucumbers and watermelon.
I have heard of watermelon. I haven't heard of cucumbers.
Watermelon's very high in citrulline too, but cucumbers are actually higher in citrulline than watermelon. The citrulline that's in watermelon is actually mostly in the rind of the watermelon, so you kind of need to actually eat the whole thing to really get the benefits. But with cucumber, so I juice cucumber every day.
Okay.
I juice cucumber. I got to keep that thing working, man.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, you're 50, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sean, it's been fun. Anything you want to promote or close off with, man?
You know, I just, for those that want to follow me on social media, on Instagram and TikTok, my handle is I am the Sean Christopher. On Facebook, it's Sean Christopher. On YouTube, it's 10-Day Keto Jumpstart. And, you know, I just encourage people to follow the content and take action. You know, if you I know that there's a lot of people out there that look at what I say on a daily basis. You know, I have people come to me every day that say, I've been following you for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, and I'm finally just doing something. If you're listening to me, please do something. Take action. Do something. You deserve to live the life of your dreams. You deserve to feel good every single day. And if you're not, that is easily attainable. It's not hard to do. It's making simple changes on a daily basis, and over time, those changes compound, and now you're fully living a life that's fully alive.
Love it.
That's what I want people to do. My website is alifefullyalive.com.
Cool. We'll link below. Thanks for coming on, Sean.
Yeah, Sean, thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Yep. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll link everything below for you guys to check out, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.